resources challenge to handle, because maybe you can't afford the homeschool teacher out of your own pocket, but 5 of you together can afford one teacher, right? So the cost is deferred. So if you and all those other parents get together, again, you can send everybody to one house. Everybody's paying for one teacher. The kids can engage with each other. They all get taught, and you can save money on the cost in addition to your kids socializing. All right, the time is taken care of, and you know who the parents are, and you know who the kids are. So you know that your kid is in the environment that you want them to be in. All your problems are solved. This requires you having relationships with other parents. All right, that's the issue that you got to resolve. So this will require you to be the one who's socializing and making sure, again, that you are connected with other parents who see things the same way that you see things. And as an added bonus, you get complete control over which kids your kid is going to be around. This is a big deal for my parents when I was young. I was not homeschooled. I went to public school. But anytime I started to show interest in being around certain kids, whether it was at school or it was in the neighborhood, my mother would always, I could tell my mother was looking at those kids with a very discerning eye. Like, who is this kid you're hanging with? What's his home situation? Who are his parents? And my mom would look into it and find out who is this kid that you seem to be showing interest in, and find out what that kid was about. And she would either be okay with it and she would encourage me hanging with the kid, or she would discourage it because she didn't like that kid's profile, didn't like that kid's background or who his parents were. And my mother would discourage me hanging around that kid. And it's the same thing that you need to do these days. And if you're not paying attention to this, then again, who's raising your children? Right? Ask yourself the question. If my mom didn't like the quality of the parents of a kid that I was hanging with, she would do whatever she needed to do to get me away from them. She did the same thing with my sister. Just making sure, like, hey, there's a certain worldview that my mother had and a certain way of looking at the world that she had. And she wanted to make sure that whoever we hung with, her kids hung with, that they came from similar, they were cut from a similar cloth. And if she didn't like what she saw, then she would do what she had to do to get rid of that situation. Moving on to point number 6, and I'm saying you all should be doing the same thing as parents yourselves. And many of you have abdicated this responsibility.